Hi, everybody. As you can see, I am in the bookshelf district, which means I have a special guest. It's the same one as last time, the last like months ago time. Um, and we'll have a conversation about video games, just like we did last time and the time before that. But before I incant my wife summoning, cantrip or whatever, I'm going to read today's journal, which is number 33, Thursday, July 7th, 2022. The gift of technology and storytelling. Hi, everyone. My last journal functioned as a doomsayer's diatribe, a thick block of prose forewarning readers of a calamity advancing in convoy with technology. In today's journal, I'll explore a benefit of that advancement, an important one. I won't be discussing technology itself, how many megahertz or pixels or whatever. Focusing on immediate features is agonizing, like an airplane conversation about Sky Mall products. Dive as deep as you want into that conversation. You won't get the bends when you surface. But innovation is important. It permits improvements in narrative composition. Without technology, we wouldn't have video games, which are a natural progression in the human desire for dramatic structure, just like epic poetry, short stories, the novel, movies, radio, and TV. Each of these represented a tectonic reconfiguration in the form and scope of storytelling. Imagine listening to the radio in 1890, watching TV in 1945, or browsing the internet in 1992. Tedious all. But what they permitted was revolutionary. So obdurately clinging to one form, e.g. theater or opera, or insisting that Aristotle's Poetics contains the final word on its construction, is not merely revanchist. It ignores the freedoms and limitations of each medium. Consider video games. The flexibility and nearly infinite expandability loosen the restraints of older media, enabling a giant leap in narrative intricacy, just as movies or TV did in regards to the play or novel. Now, let me get personal. It is 1989 outside. A young, vulnerable Courtney who is just beginning to develop his personality visits his friend Jason, who has a fierce mullet and the NES game Dragon Warrior. During this visit, Courtney discovers his true nature. The next morning, when Courtney arrives at school, he sports a mullet of his own of slighter ferocity and carries a sandwich baggie full of coins, many months of allowance supplemented with unspent lunch money, $18, mostly nickels. And Jason brought the game. Courtney's elegant hairdo was short-lived, but his purchase of Dragon Warrior commenced a lifelong devotion indivisible from his deepest identity. I essentially lived in Alfgard and occasionally Hyrule for the next 2 decades, until New Year's Dawn 2010, when I drove from Oregon to Connecticut to begin my PhD. Dragon Quest IX came out that year. I got it, and I played it with enthusiasm, but I didn't live in that world. I just enjoyed visiting in the evenings until I beat it, at which point I committed fully to regular Earth life. After 5 years of PhDing in this way, I became a professor in California, and I continued to reside in normal life. But then in September 2016, I became mysteriously ill, then dreadfully ill, then iller still. By 2018, I was sure I was going to die, not quietly in my sleep, but in a violent, agonizing clash with the Reaper. In May that year, I was admitted to the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota. It was at this point that I needed to escape my regular, normal Earth life, so I returned home to New Alfgard, now called Erdrea, and New Hyrule, still called Hyrule. But I'm so grateful that technology advanced in my absence. If I were attempting to leave my scary and painful world behind in an 8-bit vehicle, I don't think I could have achieved escape velocity, but I did, and it got me through the worst part. And Patrick Rothfuss proposes 4 doors we may pass through to cope with suffering: sleep, amnesia, madness, and death. Perhaps drugs can shove us through any of the 4, depending on what we take. providing a temporary respite, but I propose a healthier alternative. A fifth door, the RPG, but full disembodied passage requires advanced technology, which for me was a life-changing gift. Okay, that's number 33. My wife's in the other room and maybe she can hear me and I hear footsteps. She's on her way. So I'll give a warm and silent to us, welcoming round of applause to the return of Marie. I'll applaud too. I should applaud too. So it's been like over 3 months. We looked yesterday or something. It was like May 2nd or 3rd when we recorded the last one of these.
It's been a while.
Busy.
I have been.
So can I summarize your busyness? Correct me where I'm wrong. So last time you'll remember that Marie was just days, like a week or something, out from a bodybuilding show.
Oh yeah.
And you had just finished your master's like right before that. So you wrapped up your master's. We did a couple of these things in like the couple of days that we had. And then you did your bodybuilding show. And then it was like the next day you started Tufts. But her first semester is basically done. There's office hours. Is it still on?
Still on. It's going right now.
So there's office hours in the next room, but kind of you can finally breathe.
Yeah, kind of.
Kind of you can breathe as in this little gap between, but on your out breath of breathing she's going to be breathing out a conversation about video games.
I'd much rather
be here.
I'm not going to finish that statement. I'm just going
to everyone listening knows the answer already. The introduction to the clause, whatever it is all this necessary. Okay, so our topic for today, for our first one, and notice Alfgard behind us. That's our last time it was the Castlevania map. It was like
pixelated Alfgard.
Pixelated, that's the actual 8-bit. In the journal number 33, Jason, this is the game that I got from his house. From at school.
I like your mug.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I'll explain the mug in a minute, why I've chosen this one for today. But our topic for today is not our favorite game, objectively or subjectively. It's the one game to rule them all. Okay, the one game. And everyone knows this exercise with music, because it's what people would say the desert island. Actually, we've talked a little bit about this, but haven't really. We've established
what foods would you bring to a desert island? Yeah,
to like the desert island. Yeah. And I've probably been asked like 20 times, what one album would you bring to a desert island? And I have yet to answer the question because it goes through this circuitous, but I think necessary parsing out of the rules. Because if it's a desert island, right, I can't drink the ocean. And what's inside it doesn't have water. I mean, that's like what desert means. And so I don't think I'm gonna last a week. I'm gonna die of dehydration. And so, like, I don't know. I just want to listen to like church hymns. I'm not going to last 2 days here. And so for those couple of days, I want like a live choir. I don't want that's even lonelier to listen to like a cassette deck or something. And so I want to listen to like live, like a choir singing church hymns as for my funeral. And I think that would be a nice exit of the world. And then the choir folks, they don't need to stay. Right, just give me 2 days and then you can get like carted off the island or whatever. But people always rephrase the question at this point. They're like, no, there's plenty of water, right? It's a tropical island. It's not a desert island. It's a tropical island. Okay. Okay. So now there's plenty of water. It's a tropical island. And then they'll say like, oh, there's bananas. But like, oh, tons. There's bananas. There's like pineapple and whatever. All you can eat bananas. Okay, but like, is there a hydroelectric power plant? Like, how am I going to play the music? Last one I wanted a choir. I'm sorry, I'm just dominating but I'm establishing for the audience. I'm establishing some rules that we've talked about it a little bit, but okay, but like if there's a hydroelectric power plant, if I'm like marooned there, I'm the only one there.
Is that on our island as a power plant?
It's like, but I wouldn't even know how to run it, and like I wouldn't have. So what music am I gonna play? Give me like a wind up, with like the dancing ballerina and it plays Edelweiss or something like that. I think that like, no. The context always changes.
So on our island,
Yeah, I'll get there. I take forever to get it, but it's a big decision, right? This is like for the rest of your life. You have to commit to this. And I like to make informed decisions. So I like to parse out all of the elements and dissect the rules first. And so then people say like, no, there's a power plant or like there's magical power. Like power is just magical. You can have all the power you want. And in that case, I want a boombox and one of those hunting, like an old 80s boombox with a hunting cassette, like a dying jackrabbit.
Okay, yeah.
You know, because like if all I'm eating is bananas and like tropical fruit and stuff, I'm gonna get kwashiorkor. I mean, like a protein deficiency disease. I need meat. I need a source of protein.
Yeah, are there animals on that?
Are there animals? And I'm not like a Link. I'm not gonna go out and like, oh, you got the whatever bow, the Gerudo bow, and you can go kill stuff. I need one of those cassettes of a dying jackrabbit that bigger predators are going to migrate into the air, thinking it's like sustenance, are going to get a meal out of this. And then I ambush them and I get my meat.
You'll be a hunter. You'll know how to fish. You'll learn.
Okay. Yeah. So the question always gets, okay, so in a revised scenario, what album would you bring on a magical tropical island with like Harry Potter? Like, here's your like turkey thighs and here's your whatever. But then that doesn't even end it, because then I'll ask stuff like, well, can I bring a compilation album? Right. Like there's like 100 best songs of the 90s. Like, do I get that? Do I get like a box set of some band that has every song they've ever written on a box? Like, no. It's one album. But like, what about double albums? Like Melancholy and Infinite Sadness, that's 2 CDs or 4 vinyls, but that's one album. And so by the time I get here and parsing things out and figuring out what the rules are, everyone's lost interest. In like 20 instances of being asked that question, what album would I bring to a desert island? It has never been answered. And people get like sick of it and walk away from the conversation. So I'm so glad. It's been so long since you've been. We've been like in the same house. I mean, we're married, but you've just been so busy
and stressed out.
And stressed.
But I've learned so much since the last time I've been in this seat on the camera.
In 3 months, that's right. Yeah.
You can learn a lot within 12 weeks.
If it's like 14-hour days, 7 days a week, which is basically what it is.
Yeah, it's intense.
At the end of the day, it's just staring blankly into abysses,
but this is nice.
It's nice, and it's nice to be able to. I'm working, where there's a sofa. We're in like the librarial suites, and there's a sofa, and we're both sitting on the sofa working silently in proximity to each other. And occasionally we do this.
It's our cue to do it together.
Okay, so today's topic, all of those rules are already set. And so what we're going to do, which I'll explain this mug, it's kind of like a desert island, except it's and we're both wearing slimes. It's Purgatory, right, that we're going to be in. Time is frozen, battery life is eternal, nothing breaks. But you get to bring one video game, or not even bring, I guess, I don't know how it like cross the divide. You get to, when you arrive,
it's a magical island.
It's a magical purgatorial island, and you get one video game forever and ever. Like, you don't die of old age. I mean, this is eternity, and you have one game to bring with you. And so I have this because I'm thinking, like, the slime is happy and good and goes to heaven, and the knight with the sword, who like isn't smiling, right, goes to hell, let's say. And what else? What do we? But combined, they go to purgatory. And so that's, and you have a bunny. Bunnies also go to purgatory. So we'll be there with slime knights and bunnies. And so that, what one game would we have forever and ever?
And a cassette that has a jackrabbit.
And a cassette that has a jackrabbit, which would probably scare away the bunny, but if there are larger predators in purgatory.
Okay, am I going first?
Yeah, you can go first.
So I have it on my notes. Let me pull it up.
So, I put down a couple of notes, but I don't have very many entries.
This is a game that we would enjoy playing, right?
Yeah, we can still splice out some more rules.
Okay, so I have a couple.
Okay.
I'm just gonna talk about the couple. So if there is a remake of r.e.m, definitely taking that.
definitely. Yeah, I know. I get. They
It doesn't
did
matter
the
what
remake.
island, right?
We have the remake. I think there's like an HD remake that came out on GameCube, I want to say, and we have that. But like a remake on like
a real
finer or like a real remake, yeah.
Okay. So, but if not, so there's a couple of things. If I can play online with other people, I'm going to bring Overwatch. I can play that over and over and not get sick of it. Unless there's like a 8-year-old boy on the other end who's just screaming on the top of his lungs.
I have heard that through.
Just like that happens quite often.
Like in Goonies, where the kids are just yelling the entire from beginning to end in the movie Goonies, that everyone's yelling the whole time. So that's it.
Yes,
it takes something away from the experience.
Yes.
Unless you have the pleasure of executing that 8-year-old.
So that game, yeah, but usually they're on the same team because you can hear, yeah. So Overwatch, if I can play online, and if not, then I would take The Sims on PC.
Oh, okay.
So I can just pretend I'm a AI, you know, I have my own little person. I can dress them, get a career going for them, and live.
So you can like have a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, a friend that's more realistic than a Tamagotchi.
Okay, so Overwatch, Sims. If there's an expansion pack for Tears of the Kingdom, definitely taking Tears of the Kingdom. If not, Breath of the Wild with the expansion pack, because that one's already created.
Okay, so last time we did this, Tears of the Kingdom wasn't out. We had pre-ordered it, but we never played it, and we had that ranking, and we're like, oh, you know, the best game of all time, Breath of the Wild, but Tears of the Kingdom maybe. But I had wondered if Tears of the Kingdom was just going to feel like an expansion pack and it's the exact same game with like a couple of gimmicks. It's not. That game is amazing, but
so much better.
Yeah, Marie started it. You started playing the game at first, and you finished the sky area, the opening sky, not like a big expansion of all skies. And then you came down to Hyrule and the surrounding districts. Started to play.
Yeah.
And then you just didn't have a minute.
Nope.
Yeah, so I took over.
Yeah, because if not, like, it would probably have been after I graduated. So
years.
3 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Then we would have finished it. But I got to the point where I'm like, you know what? Can you just play?
Yeah, you're stressed.
Enjoy it?
You're like, it's like a chore. I have to do another hour of Zelda because I need to advance this game, but I'm so behind on my. But we still haven't beaten it. I mean, the game's huge.
It's so good though, and starting it, the 25% that I played in the beginning, and then watching him play.
Not 25% of the game, because we're probably only like a third of the way through the game still.
You don't think 25%?
I bet it's like
storyline. If we were going with the storyline, you don't think so?
I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to tell because there's like I haven't even unlocked all the towers to get the map expanded, and certainly in the underworld, I've barely seen any of it.
Yeah. So definitely Tears of the Kingdom. I rescind my Breath of the Wild, and even without the expansion pack, Tears of the Kingdom
is amazing. That's the new
big
objective best ever.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay, but then I think I have another one. So I know it's only supposed to be one, but I have a few. So Overwatch, Sims, Tears of the Kingdom, Nintendo Switch console.
Okay, the whole console. Yeah, you're like, you already do consoles.
The entire console.
Yeah. But that's like when I was talking about, is it like a box set? Is it greatest hits of the 90s? Is it like a greatest hits or whatever? If I were to take a console, that's the one I would take. But I would consider, I wouldn't just take it without peer. I would consider the original Nintendo and the Super Nintendo, but I would like, I don't like that expression, hands down. I would pause down, right? If you have like a wolf, what's the D&D thing? The totem?
Amulet? A totem, yeah.
But I would pause down, take the Switch over any other console. But I could speak to the merits of an original Nintendo or Super Nintendo if I want to do historical and developmental. But like I'm going to be playing this thing forever. I'm going to get frustrated.
And you get expansion packs. You can have most of the Nintendo, Super Nintendo games on the Switch.
So. Oh, true. Yeah. Oh, kind of all the first party releases you get.
Okay, those are my games.
Okay, so I considered Dragon Warrior 4. I considered it, original Nintendo. But the problem is, it's like you're in purgatory and you just play forever and ever and ever. And anything played to excess like that is going to ruin it. And Dragon Warrior 4 holds a special place in my heart. And I don't want to tarnish it with excess. Because I could play through it a few times and like, you know what I've done? I've leveled out. I've already leveled out to 99 everybody multiple times in my own like normal life. How many times do I want to do it in purgatory? And I can make the same argument for most of the Zeldas. Tears of the Kingdom seems very versatile with the construction of things and the exploration, and there's no way we're going to get through everything because it's been 3 months and we haven't beaten the game yet. Maybe I don't think we're going to discover every cave, and
it's
so
so
huge.
huge.
But if we had purgatorial time, we would discover every cave. So that's a honorable mention for me.
Yeah, definitely Tears of the Kingdom.
Now you mentioned
Overwatch.
and so that means, can we play against other people? And it also matters, can you play against other people? Like, is it old people? And so it needs to be the Wii, right? The only console that like older people, but like who else is in purgatory? You know, if there's other people there to play. If they're really old, maybe I would consider getting a Wii because I want it to be sociable. I don't want to exclude other people from the fun and sort of punish them. Like, no, it's a complicated controller. And if it's young people, is it a cooperative? Like, do you like everyone else in purgatory, or is it just like, why am I trapped here with like these screaming 8-year-olds? And so I just want to like electronically beat them up, not in real life, because you go to hell and you would no longer be in purgatory.
We have games for that one too.
Okay, hell games, but we're in purgatory stuff.
Okay.
And so is it cooperative, like collaborative, or is it oppositional? And so I chose Mario Kart 8. If there's other people.
Okay, yeah, I can see
Because
that.
you can, there's battle mode and there's
That's
racing against
you're
each
really
other.
good at it though. I would not choose that because I always lose. He's superior to me.
The versatility of that game. I mean, there's so many tracks. I mean, there's what, 96 tracks or something.
Yeah.
Or there will be when it's all done. And the different battle modes. I mean, there's just so much to do that I feel like that would have a lifespan that wouldn't get old. If all I care about is beating up people electronically, like, okay, you know, I can't take it out on them with my purgatory fists because they're like spirit fists or something, and it wouldn't do any damage. And also, I don't want to get exiled from here. So I would choose like Street Fighter 2, where I could just take out my aggression. I shouldn't be here. You know, I could. But then if it's just a single player where there's no other people and I'm trapped there in isolation, what you said, Sims, that's the direction I would go, or possibly a SimCity. I've never played The Sims, and I would like it to be a known entity because I don't want to be surprised with something bad. Because people, again, like 20 times in my life, people have asked me about the desert island with music. And I think, like, obviously I'd pick the r.e.m or Pumpkins, or it could be Pearl Jam, U2. There's a bunch of bands I could pick that I would be happy with. But I'm like, what if I did a mystery band like Sheryl Crow or something? Like, I like a few of her songs, you know, but I don't know her catalog. And then I realized I can actually run the experiment in real life. I don't need a desert island to test this out. And so I listened to every single Sheryl Crow album. I'm like, okay, I'm glad I didn't pick her. I like a lot of her songs, but I would be so mad at myself for not picking r.e.m or something like that, or Pumpkins or something. So I would want it to be a known entity. So I wouldn't pick The Sims, but The Sims is probably the best choice. I would do like a Dragon Quest Builders.
Oh, that's
where
a
I
good
could
one. Yeah.
I could make the world in my image, whatever my image becomes. And as I spend more time in solitary confinement and get crazier, oh man, I think I'd have to pick 2. I like 1 better, but 2 is so much more versatility. Yeah, you can do so much more in 2, and there's so many more characters to interact with. So I would do 2, even though I like 1 better.
Yeah, that would be on my list too. I haven't played it, I just watched you, but I can see, because you can just build like infinite things,
whatever, and you can just change it all the time. You're like, you know what, I'm going to bulldoze this and start over.
Was that on your list? You had that?
Yeah. Good. Was there, but it was in line with The Sims. Okay. So if it's like 1 player, you want to interact, you want something to do that lasts and changes, and sort of dynamic in that way.
So Sims, Dragon Quest Builders 2.
And then if there's people, if there's a community,
Overwatch.
Overwatch, where you can be cooperative or antagonistic. So that's a
Mhm.
better choice, I think.
Mm.
But I would do Mario Kart 8 for
Mhm.
that one. Hopefully we go to like Purgatory, like if we're there together, if we're anywhere, like heaven, okay.
Yeah,
But if we're in
definitely.
Purgatory, I hope we're together and I get to pick Mario Kart and you get to pick Overwatch and we have them both. Right. That would be
And then you'll
nice.
finally play Overwatch.
And I'll finally play Overwatch
In heaven.
in heaven together. I don't think we could do a heaven game because there'd be other things to do,
Yeah.
right?
Like
Even
pet kitties. There are gonna be a ton of kitties up in heaven.
bunnies.
Or bunnies.
Yeah, Grant's like Jumbo, like the Goliath bunny or whatever they're called.
I forget what they're called. There's a name
Yeah, it's
for
like too big to pick up. Yeah, I imagine it has a deep voice. Pet me. I'm a bunny. Like it's probably just because it's so big.
Yeah.
But like even like on regular Earth,
Oh.
you know, if we're busy and our attention is being spent on productive things, we don't play games. You know,
Mhm.
games are for days where it's like I can't function today. You know, I just am so slammed or I'm so behind. Well, if you're behind, hopefully, but down days, downtime, that's when we play games.
Mhm.
When attention can no longer be assigned to you know, actualizing our goals.
Yeah, speaking of which, so last time we recorded, I was talking about, oh yeah, I'll probably beat Ragnarok God of War within the next 2 weeks. And then school started and I haven't touched it since.
Yes,
So
she's exactly in what was that, May 3rd or something
Yeah.
like that when we did this. You're exactly where you were.
the exact same spot.
Yeah, you haven't even turned on the console since then.
No, it's gonna have to have
Good game, though.
updates. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it'll take forever.
Maybe between semesters I'll beat it within the next 2 weeks.
You know what I do
Here
for
we
a
go.
heaven game?
Hmm.
I've never played this, but Brian is like, you know,
World of
streams it.
Warcraft.
Oh,
Oh.
World of Warcraft.
Oh.
No, that might. I don't know for heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
heaven is like, oh, I'm gonna get
I'm taking
distracted.
flow.
Right. I'm sneaking it in. This is like contraband, and I'm getting Pokemon Go Heaven Edition, where because
Heaven
like
edition.
you go explore and there's like
Oh, that's
yeah, oh
cool.
look at this
I
angel,
like
and it
that.
like glitters, and you capture angels for Diablo, whatever. But wouldn't that be because then you go
I
explore?
like that idea.
You go
yeah.
like explore the clouds and lakes and whatever, and get to know the
And
wildlife.
the waterfalls.
The
yeah.
waterfalls, and let's draw it. So that would be the heaven game, I think.
I like
Neither of
that
us have ever played
idea.
it, but I think that would be the ideal game to
Mhm.
do there.
Yeah, it sounds like a good one.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay, what would you do for a hell game?
It's funny because one of your games for the Purgatory was Street Fighter 2, and that would be my hell game
Oh, that's funny.
because I suck at it. And I remember when we first got together, I'm like, oh, you have a Super Nintendo, and what games do you have? Street Fighter 2 was one of them. I'm like, oh, let's put it in. I'm pretty good.
That was fun. I had a good
I
time.
had no idea he is a master at the Super Nintendo Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, I had a really good time that day. Whenever you're winning,
I didn't get one hit on him.
if you're winning at something, ooh, this is fun. If you're just losing at something, it's just frustrating and nobody likes that experience.
I was like, cool, I'm gonna pick Dalsim. I'm best with him, and no, he's like, cool, pick a character for me. And I'm like,
Oh, that's
oh,
right.
this is horrible. Here we go. So yeah, that would be my hell game because okay, a hell game, Street Fighter 2 against him or my brother, because they're both really good and they beat me every time and I don't like to lose. So that would be a hell game.
Although if it's a really long time before we get promoted from hell, first into Purgatory as like a waiting room, sit in that line, I'm in the queue, it's just a few years of purgatorial games, and then you get into heaven. But if it's like a really long time in hell, you get really good at Street Fighter. And then like the newbies would always be coming in. It's hot, and they're complaining and like, oh no, pick up a controller. Let's just distract yourself.
Pick a character.
Pick a character. Yeah, pick my character for me, and let's just have fun. Let's make this enjoyable.
Fun. He's really good, by the way. And then later he tells me, yeah, I used to play it every single day just to get better at it. And then I try it with just one finger, and then I try
With one
it
button,
with one button.
where I would go on level 8, whatever. I would go start to finish with a single button, just Y, just X, just L, just R, whatever. Just so I could always be ready with any situation. Again, my hell game. First, a hell movie for me would be that 1993 Mario movie. I mean, I watched it when it was new, and
I've never seen it.
yeah, what pun intended? I just thought of a pun intended.
What
the hell is this? Like, it was so bad, the movie. And we have it. It's actually it's down there on DVD. And because I got it later in life, I'm like, I gotta try this again because maybe I was misinformed. Or maybe I was in the wrong mindset. I didn't give it a chance. I gave it another chance and it ruined my day. Like, you watch it in the morning and you're still depressed, and by the time night comes, you're still unhappy with life. And it's so if it makes you unhappy to watch it, and the unhappiness does not end with the credits, that's a hell movie. But a hell game for me, it comes from, just like yours, a personal experience. When I was little, we rented Rambo on the original Nintendo.
I didn't know they made that.
Horrible. Like, I've seen reviews and people kind of like it, but everyone hated Simon's Quest, and you liked it, and I thought it's one of my favorite games ever.
I did like it. It was
all these games that people sort of dislike, and like, oh, these are like my favorite games. And people are like, oh, Rambo is pretty good on Nintendo. To me, it was like going, when you go to a casino and you spend a day there and you leave, and what did I?
That's a
No, but let's say
long time.
hypothetically, I've never done that.
Yeah.
But let's say hypothetically, a person goes to a casino and they're there all day, and when they leave, they're not happy with themselves, right? They squandered serviceable hours and money and resources, and all they did was emerge unhealthy, breathing smoke all day and sitting there, and they're a day older in life, and they're just like, what did I do with it? And so we rented Rambo, and I stayed up all night, because a rental, you have a limited period of time. We didn't have very many games growing up, not until I had jobs, and I was 13, 14, 15. I didn't have a really bills, but I had jobs, and so I could start buying a bunch of games. But before then, it was so limited in games, so we rent games, and Rambo was one of them. And it was just self-loathing when I was done. When it was time to return the game, like, I hated this game, and I spent all day and the next day playing it, and I hated every minute of it. But I was trying to do it for.
Did you beat it?
I don't even think I did. I think it was just the whole thing was awful. And I remember this scene that I was in. Oh yeah, that would be my hell game. Yeah, I think that's all we have to talk about.
Yeah,
this is a short one. This is much shorter than the last one.
Shorter than the last one, but it was good.
My water lasted the entire time. I'm not parched. Okay. What's our hope? What's our departing? We hope everyone goes to heaven. Okay, bye everyone. That's it for today.